Brooklyn stoop, drinking some fresh orange juice. Actually, I'm almost done now, but a sidekick here when I'm in Brooklyn, chilling, breaking down some boxing. Teofimo Lopez versus Pedro Campos. The long-awaited return of Teofimo Lopez now is upon us. I tell you, man, there's a lot of questions as far as what went wrong with Teofimo Lopez in his last fight. For me, he was one of the most promising young budding stars in the sport. Already had almost become the undisputed champion at such a young age. Wins in a devastating, exciting fashion. Charismatic personality. I thought Teofimo really had the whole package, and I can't say I'm totally writing him off just yet, but I'm just as curious as anybody else as to what went wrong in his last fight. When we think about it, George Kambosos came very ready. He probably got under the whole team's skin, if I'm really honest with you. He got under Teofimo's skin, under Teofimo's father's skin, and I didn't think they fought with the most intelligent game plan. Obviously, we've also heard the medical situation with Teofimo, where there was something going on with his chest or his heart. I think, and I assume everything is all behind him and everything is good as he comes back now against Pedro Campos of Mexico. Now, Campos is a guy, obviously he's a run-of-the-mill kind of guy who, is your comeback opponent. Good record, I think he's like somewhere around 34-1 or something. Never fought outside of Mexico though. Never really fought at this level. Has never fought really this level of opposition. But he's a guy who, has built up this record. And when you build up this kind of record, you build it up with a goal in mind, to eventually get a big fight and try to make your mark in the sport, just like we all do, right? This is Pedro Campos' moment. I would think and assume that he's coming, at least with a very hungry mentality, to finally, after about 30-35 fights in his career, to get an opportunity like this against an ex-world champion, an ex-unified world champion. So with a good performance, I don't necessarily think even Campos has to win. With a good performance, I think Campos can put himself sort of in the big circle here, lightweight, where there's a lot of big fights around for a lot of guys, But ultimately, the conversation is about Teofimo Lopez. How's he going to look? How's he going to come back? Can he win the fight, and how does he win the fight? And what happens to him? Obviously, with Teofimo, you never want to talk about, you never want to look past opponents, that's with anybody, but we're not Teofimo Lopez, so we're going to look past Pedro Campos for a second, you know what I'm saying? And when we think about that, what could Teofimo Lopez do next? I'm sort of wondering now, I believe the fight's at 140 pounds, so, now with the super lightweight division, it's new pastures, but I don't think it's going to be new pastures for long, because I really do think a lot of those lightweights are going to start moving up to 140 pounds, with the exception of Lomachenko, who, pretty much tops out at lightweight after turning pro at featherweight. I think everybody else, honestly, probably moves up to lightweight rather soon. Devin Haney's a pretty big guy, and I don't see Devin Haney really being too excited to fight Lomachenko after he fights Kambosos in the rematch. Kambosos possibly also moves up, that's another guy who really has to come back after looking very, very lethargic in his last fight. Although stylistically, I don't think he matches up well at all with Devin Haney. I thought Devin Haney boxed a match. 140-pound division, there's really bigger pastures there for Lopez as well. Obviously, we're talking about the lightweights moving up, not just Lopez, but there's also guys like Regis Prograis, who's going to fight for a title, Zepeda, Jose Ramirez, and Josh Taylor, who I don't even know what's going on with him, depending on what the political game is with the United States Border Patrol and all that shit. I don't even want to get into it, man. Honestly, it's so annoying at this point. But I think Josh Taylor is, the best 140-pounder in the world. You got Catterall, who probably beat him in the last fight, though, interestingly enough, and got robbed, I thought. But so you got a lot of guys at 140 pounds, and there's going to be some interesting fights to make. And really, with Teofimo being with Top Rank, there's guys with the connections there. I mean, I think that Top Rank has the ESPN contract, and I believe Taylor and Catterall was on ESPN as well, right? So there's a lot of when you're inside a stable like that, you have a lot of possibilities for fights. To tell you the truth, I don't see Devin Haney fighting the third fight against Lomachenko. I never saw him really too excited about fighting Lomachenko. So I think he's going to, just say he can't make weight after he beats Kambosos in the rematch. And I think he's going to go up to 140 pounds. And I think that's going to make some possible fights there, too. So, it could be to Lopez and Haney. It could be, because Haney has one more fight on the contract after the Kambosos rematch. It could be, Catterall up there. It could be. There's a lot of good fights there at 140 pounds that I'm excited to see. But with Lopez, I'm really excited to see him because, what are they calling it? They called him the takeover. Now it's the take back. So let's see what he's taking back, because I think in the moment that he did what he did, I think that you know, he excelled and he unified the titles in an exciting fashion. But to be honest with you, I think 140 pounds is going to be even more difficult now because there's so much competition there, so many good fighters. But it's going to make it exciting to see him coming back as well. You know, I'm curious to see about how his power comes back also at 140 pounds if it carries up. You know, are we going to see the Lopez that we saw coming up? Are we going to see the Lopez who was exciting with, you know, quick hands and combination punching and all that? Or are we going to see the Lopez was just looking for one shot at a time against Kambosos and just was unbelievably frustrating to watch, where you're asking yourself, who is this guy, you know? For me, my guess is as good as yours, guys, you know, but I'm looking forward to seeing this comeback, and I want to see just how he comes back. And I think after the win, you know, I don't want to overlook Pedro Campos, but you know, I know how Top Rank works. They know how to bring back their stars. So Campos is a glossy record, but I'd be shocked if he ends up beating Teofimo Lopez. My prediction is, I'm going to say an 8th round knockout. I'm going to say 8th round knockout. I'm going to predict for Teofimo Lopez. I don't know enough about Campos, honestly. I don't even know what kind of resistance he has, but I mean, I would assume Lopez is coming back. If we feel he's got a lot to prove, I would assume he feels that he also has a lot to prove. So I think that's how he's going to come back and look to impress. Originally, I had Teofimo Lopez probably as the best lightweight in the world. You know, it's funny enough, I still think at lightweight his toughest fight was always going to be Lomachenko. You know, even the Lomachenko rematch was always going to be the toughest fight at lightweight. And I think that you know, Lopez was the best lightweight in the world, but slightly better than Lomachenko as the fight showed. But I was curious to see if he could have won the rematch with Lomachenko, which obviously would never happen now. But that was where I rank him. Still, a lot of good lightweights out there as well. The father-son dynamic in the Teofimo Lopez fight was interesting. You know, I think a lot of more father-son dynamics work today than they did when I was a kid, and I'd see guys. You know, there were a lot of guys who would split off from their fathers when I was younger. In this generation, the father-son dynamics they typically stay. They typically don't break up. And there's been a lot of successful father-son dynamics, including the Lopez's, but I think it left a lot to be desired in the Kambosos fight. The instructions were very, 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 very vague and just, you know, not very technical at all. In a fight where you needed your corner to kind of guide you, I think Lopez's corner and his father came up short in that one. So hopefully there's been a learning experience for both, because going forward you can't afford too many of those kind of mistakes. So and having said that, let's see how it plays out. I'm Paulie for Paulie TV, and we'll discuss this after the fight.